Hey everyone, I recently decided to try out some games from Game Pass using the cloud gaming aspect of it. I wanted to see if it was a realistic way of playing Series X games on the Xbox One. Spoiler alert, it's not. Before we get into the why and why nots and what games I tried, I want to go over some of the variables that might have made my experience better or worse when compared to someone else's experience. First of all, I'm playing everything through the first gen Xbox One. Second, my console has a wired connection to my modem. Third, I live downtown in a major North American city and I have one of the best available internet options for my city. Being out in the country or somewhere with poor internet reception is not something that applies to my scenario. Fourth, according to my Xbox, I have download speeds that average around 215 megabytes per second and upload speeds around 450 megabytes per second. I also use this same Xbox as my main entertainment machine. So I use it for watching YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, and so on, and I have zero issues with it. And yes, I am aware this thing is technically in beta, so I shouldn't be expecting perfection, but I do expect a certain level of quality considering Microsoft made it available. I didn't have to sign up for anything extra, this is just included in my Game Pass subscription. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I am not the most technically savvy person out there. So if anyone can think of any setting I need to change or anything like that, then please let me know down below. I did search online for anything that I would need to change or set up for this, and the only thing on the Xbox support website said have the October 2021 update, which I would have done months ago. So from what I can tell, there doesn't seem to be any settings I need to change or anything like that. So the main reason why I decided to try this is because I don't have a Series X yet, and I really wanted to try Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've always just downloaded a game from Game Pass and uninstalled it when I was finished, but Flight Simulator isn't available on the Xbox One. So realistically, this is my only option to try the game for the foreseeable future, and as soon as I turned it on, I knew I was in trouble. This couldn't load at all. The main menu couldn't even clear up, let alone any gameplay that might have had any sort of good graphics. This is not my capture card being choppy. What you're seeing is exactly how the game looked on my TV. I'm sure the game is good, but the experience through Xbox Cloud Gaming was complete trash, which is a massive shame because I absolutely love Game Pass and I use it all the time. I tried turning off certain aspects of Flight Simulator hoping to require less data, but it made no difference at all. I tried set routes so that the game wouldn't have to load such a big area, but it didn't matter, nothing would clear up. The one aspect of the game that worked perfectly fine was the audio. The audio came through as if I owned a physical copy of the game, but the lag from the controller to the game and their horrendous visuals made this completely unplayable. Instead of giving up entirely, I decided to try another game, one that doesn't have nearly as intense graphics, and while it worked better, it still wasn't playable. I tried playing Cluster Truck. The simple graphics made it seem like a better choice of game to try, and while yes, technically I was able to get through some levels, this is not up to any standard where I would deem it an acceptable way to play. The game was able to have moments where it looked perfect visually, but it was just that, it was just moments. As soon as the gameplay would have any sort of speed to it, then the visual quality would come crashing down. Now, this game had no input lag when it came to button presses, and the audio worked perfectly fine. So there is aspects to this that I can tell are already set with how Microsoft probably wants it, but the visuals are such a major aspect to playing a video game that it still leaves Cluster Truck basically unplayable. So I decided to try another game. This time I looked for a game that was even less visually taxing, so I decided to try Limbo. With a slow moving main character, a slow scrolling background, and no bright vibrant colors, I figured this would be a good game to test, because if this can't run properly, then most likely nothing will. I will say, this is the most playable game so far. Because the game has very few sudden movements, anytime the visual quality drops, I'm capable of just standing still, letting everything load, and then continue on with the game. It's not ideal by any means, but if I was desperate, this could be a way to play Limbo. Again, the audio and input lag were completely on par compared to downloading the game. It's just the dips in visual quality that's the issue. But the visual quality still dropped more often than I thought it would. I thought the lack of vibrant colors would help, but it didn't seem to make much of a difference. The only major difference is the style of gameplay, where I was able to let the visuals catch up. It would add a lot of standing around to the game, which is very rarely a good thing for a video game, but the game was technically playable. So with that in mind, I tried to think of a game where I was going to have a stagnant background and a minimal amount of movement, and I think I found it. I tried Unpacking, and this was by far the most playable game of the bunch. With backgrounds that only move when you choose for them to move, and basically just a cursor on screen that moves, the visuals never took a dip during actual gameplay. Yes, the visuals dip dramatically when changing rooms, but you're technically not playing at that point anyway, so it doesn't hinder your ability to play the game when the room loads. Again, the controls, music, and sound effects were on point. Aside from changing rooms, there was basically no difference between unpacking through the cloud versus downloaded to the system. I would say as of right now, Unpacking is completely playable through the cloud gaming beta. Now, I understand that this has to be a very special case. Basically, no sudden movements can be allowed in the gameplay to keep the visuals at a good quality, and that's essentially unrealistic with the majority of games on Game Pass. And while I don't see this being a real option anytime soon, I will admit I can see how this could work for extremely specific scenarios. I do like the benefit of playing a game without downloading it. I do like the benefit of it automatically being the most updated version of whatever game I'm choosing, seeing as how patches for games should never need to be downloaded either. I do like how smooth the audio was sounding, and that with basically every game, I had no issue with input lag. I believe the major reason why I had input lag with Flight Simulator was because the visuals were so far behind. I didn't know when I should be turning left or hitting the accelerator, and the issue wasn't necessarily the game taking a while to register the controller. The visuals with Flight Simulator were such an issue that I don't really have a way to test it, figure it out. But none of the other games had input lag issues, so it makes me want to give Flight Simulator the benefit of the doubt. But too many factors need to line up for this to work. A wired connection, a Microsoft branded system, high quality internet with no issues in terms of reception, and yet any game that had any sort of character movement was an issue. I understand this is a beta, so I'm not going to say this is a terrible idea or product, but in its current form that Game Pass subscribers can make use of, I think this is something everyone should avoid. Maybe if you only want to play point and click adventures, then maybe you can have a good time with it. Otherwise, for now at least, there is very little about cloud gaming that makes it even worth attempting. And there we have it, my experience with the cloud gaming beta with Game Pass on the Xbox One. Let me know down below what your experience has been with cloud gaming, or have you tried any other company's similar service and what your experience with them was like. I'm curious to know if anyone regularly uses any service like this. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up, it really helps out a lot, and be sure to share the video with anyone who might enjoy it. If you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more video game related content. If you missed out on the Nintendo Switch's 5th anniversary, then go ahead and check out my video here. Thanks for making it to the end of the video, thanks for watching.